As a creative professional, you've probably encountered scope creep without even realizing it. What starts as a seemingly simple project can quickly turn into an overwhelming ordeal as new requests and additions pile up, often without any extra time or pay. So, how can you identify scope creep early and avoid it altogether? We're going to talk about it today. Let's get into it. Welcome back, everyone, to Creativity Made Easy. My name is Dustin Peed. I'm so glad to be with you, creative coach and consultant. I'm here to help creatives know themselves, their process, and their team so that they can create greater things together. I want to remind you, you can subscribe wherever you're listening to this. Go ahead and leave a rating or review, whatever it allows you to do. It helps get this content out even further to those like yourself who can benefit from it. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and like, subscribe, and ring the bell while you're there as well. You can find me on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, all at Dustin Peed, P-E-A-D. And you can find out more about what I do and what I can bring to you or your team at dustinpeed.com. All right, let's get on to the show. So we're talking today about this thing called project scope creep. So we all know that the scope of a project is basically what we've committed to the client and what we're going to do. It's the work, right? It's the overall outlook of the work. But scope creep happens when the scope of the project that was originally agreed upon starts to expand beyond its initial boundaries. We've all been there. We've jumped in too soon, and now we know that there's more there than what we originally quoted. These new demands can come in the form of additional tasks or extra revisions or expanded deliverables, and they can derail timelines, stretch resources, and cause friction between you and the client. Think of it as a project that starts out of just creating a logo, and before you know it, it's turned into a whole website design, right? The worst part is that you're often expected to deliver these extras without additional compensation or extended deadlines. So here's some additional ways of how project scope creep can come up in everyday client work. Endless revisions, right? Extra deliverables, ambiguous project goals. There's a lack of clarity or a lack of a contract. And without that clearly defined contract, it's easier for clients to make additional requests without understanding the extra effort that is required. So let me give you quickly 5 ways to avoid project scope creep. The first way is very simple. You need to define the scope clearly from the start, right? Have a full on clarity conversation before you begin any project. You need to ensure that both you and your client have a detailed and clear understanding of what that project entails. So, pro tip, use a simple, detailed contract that lists exactly what's going to be delivered, how many revisions are included. That is big, 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 and the deadlines for each stage of the project. Number 2, create a buffer in your timeline, or as I like to talk about all the time, create some margin. You need to build in some wiggle room so that your project timeline for unexpected delays or additional requests is there, right? You have that buffer time to make it easy when the inevitable comes up. Even if you clearly define everything, there's still probably going to be something that either you or the client didn't anticipate. So, pro tip, pad your timeline with that margin, an extra 10 to 15% of your time for revisions, feedback, or any unforeseen issues. Number 3, sounds simple, but it's difficult to do. Be comfortable saying no. It's tempting to say yes to every client request, especially if you're eager to please or to get paid. But learning to say no is an essential skill in client management. So, pro tip, try saying, hey, I'd love to help with this, but it's outside of our initial agreement. Here's how we can proceed if you'd like to include this work. Simple, very professional. Anyone can do it. So be comfortable at saying no when you need to. Number 4, introduce a change request process. This process could be whatever it needs to be as long as it's tailored for you, as you understand that clients' needs change sometimes from the original scope. So they understand that these changes come with additional fees and or extended deadlines. Having a set process for handling change requests prevents surprises for both parties. Pro tip, include a change request clause in your initial contract. That tip number 1 that we talked about. And that clause is going to outline how and when changes can be made, as well as the cost of any additional work. And number 5 on our list of 5 ways to prevent project scope creep is to use clear communication channels. Communicate, communicate, communicate. You have to stay on top of communication throughout the project, not just at the beginning and the end. Regular updates and check ins can help you and your client stay aligned, which will reduce the likelihood of sudden last minute requests. So, pro tip, establish a cadence of feedback sessions. A lot of my clients, we will start on Mondays and we will have an admin send out an update to every client that we have an open project for to let them know where we're at in the process currently this week and what's going to happen next. In conclusion, scope creep does not have to be a constant thorn in your side. You can eliminate it by setting clear expectations, communicating regularly, and establishing boundaries. If you need help juggling all these projects, you can reach out to me at dustinpeed.com. Click on the Let's Talk button. I would love to come alongside you and your team to help you create some greater things together. That's all for this week. Next week, we're going to talk about playlists and soundtracks on Creativity Made Easy. We'll talk to you then. Hey, everybody, thanks again so much for your support of the release of my very first book, Growing Upward, My Lifelong Journey Through Mental Health. You can find all the details about how to order your copy of the audiobook, the ebook is on its way, or the actual physical hardcover book as well at dustinpeed.com/book. I wrote this book for anyone who is struggling with their journey of mental health as well, because we need to talk about it and create more awareness. It's a simple 120-page book. It's not that difficult to read, and it's not perfect at all, but I would love for you to pick up a copy and be encouraged for yourself or anyone in your life that is currently running through this journey of mental health. Thank you so much for your support. Can't wait for you to check it out.